There's a guy at your job. Let us call him Daniel. 6 months ago, Daniel was assigned the company's most visible project. His manager checked in on him twice a day. He was copied on every relevant email thread. His work was discussed in leadership meetings he was not invited to. Then something changed. The check-ins became weekly, then every 2 weeks. Then they stopped. He started getting excluded from meetings he used to attend. His manager began CCing his peers on emails that were originally just between the two of them. Nothing was said directly. No conversation, no performance review flag, nothing official. Daniel thought things had just calmed down. The project was winding up. His manager was busy. Daniel was wrong. What happened to Daniel was not disorganization. It was not a busy quarter. It had a name, a sequence, and a documented process. And by the time Daniel recognized it, it was already 6 months into a 12-month plan. By the end of this video, you are going to understand what being managed out actually looks like from the inside, not the version in the policy handbook, the version that is already running before anyone says a word to you. And once you can see the sequence, you cannot unsee it. The phrase managed out gets used loosely. People use it to mean fired or laid off or pushed to resign. That is not what it means. Being managed out is a documented process. It has a beginning, it has paperwork, it has a goal. And the goal is not to fire you. The goal is to get you to leave or to build a case that holds if you do not. The distinction matters because the early stages of being managed out look like reasonable management. They are designed to. If you complained about them, you would sound paranoid. The process relies on that. Here's what the sequence looks like. The first signal is access reduction. You stop being included in things, not dramatically, incrementally. One meeting drops off your calendar. The explanation is reasonable. One email thread you used to be on goes quiet. Maybe it moved. One decision gets made without your input. They probably just forgot. None of these is a signal on its own. The signal is the direction of travel. If access is consistently and gradually reducing over a period of 6 to 10 weeks, that reduction is not random. It has a source. Think about Marcus. Marcus had been a department head for 7 years. He had been in every quarterly planning session since the function was built. One quarter, his invite came late. The next quarter, it was restructured into a smaller group he was not part of. He was told the format had changed. He believed it. He did not track the direction of the change. By the time he did, he had been outside the room for 3 quarters, and the decisions being made in that room had already reshaped his team. Access reduction is not about the individual meeting. It's about whether the organization is still making decisions with you or around you. The second signal is the paper trail. Here's the part nobody warns you about. Before anything official happens in a managed out process, the documentation has already begun. Your manager is not creating a paper trail after the fact. They are building it in real time. Every email clarifying an expectation, every meeting summary, every note from a check-in. These are not communication tools, they are records. The signal is not the existence of these documents. Every manager sends follow-up emails. The signal is the precision. When your manager starts sending you emails that are unusually specific about deliverables, deadlines, and scope, when their language becomes more formal than it used to be, when they start summarizing verbal conversations in writing that they never bothered to document before, the documentation process has started. The email is not a helpful recap. The email is a time-stamped record that an expectation was set and that you received it.
The third signal is the evaluation language shift. You have probably sat through a performance review where your manager told you that you did a great job, and you probably noticed, if you were paying attention, that the words were not quite praise. They were hedged. Marcus has contributed significantly to the team's output this quarter. Not, Marcus exceeded his targets. Not, Marcus is ready for more responsibility. The language stayed in the middle, positive enough that you left the room feeling fine, specific enough that it could be cited later as evidence that concerns were flagged. This shift happens in real time before the formal review. Listen to how your manager talks about your work in meetings. If the language has moved from evaluative to descriptive, from Claire delivered on this to Claire was part of the team that worked on this, the attribution is shifting. Your name is being detached from the outcomes. The fourth signal is the one-on-one format change. Your one-on-ones have a register. They have a rhythm. You know roughly what gets discussed, how long it runs, who leads it. When that format changes, pay attention. Not every change is a signal. A busier manager, a new project, a format restructure. These happen. The signal is a change in function. If your one-on-one shifts from a dialogue about your work and development to a status update you give while your manager types notes, the meeting has changed its purpose. It is no longer a development conversation, it is a monitoring and documentation session. If your one-on-one gets shorter and more frequent rather than longer and more spacious, the monitoring has intensified. If it gets canceled repeatedly, you have been deprioritized. Both directions matter. The fifth signal is the calibration ranking. You will never see this document. It is not shared with employees, but it exists, and it is reviewed every quarter by managers and HR. During calibration, every employee in a department is ranked against their peers, not by their individual performance, by their relative contribution compared to everyone else in the same band. These rankings are used to determine raises, bonuses, and, when reductions are needed, who is first on the list. Once you fall into the bottom third of a calibration ranking, two things happen. First, your manager is asked to produce a development plan for you. Second, that development plan becomes the first formal document in a managed-out process, even if your manager never uses that language with you. You will not be told your ranking. You will be told that they want to support your growth. If that conversation arrives without any change in your performance, without any context about a transition or a restructure, and without any specific feedback that preceded it, you have just been shown your calibration position. Here is what we call this, and once you have a name for it, you cannot stop seeing it. Being managed out is a liability management process dressed as a performance management process. The organization is not trying to help you improve. The organization is building a documented defense against the legal and reputational risk of terminating someone. Every step in the sequence, the access reduction, the paper trail, the language shift, the one-on-one changes, the calibration development plan, is designed to create a record showing that the decision was justified, gradual, and reasonable. You did not fail suddenly. The decision was made. Then the paperwork caught up. The second version of this process is being deployed on you before you know the first version was running. You are probably already running a check right now. You're thinking about your manager, the last email you got with formal language, the meeting you were left off, the one-on-one that ran short last month. That's not paranoia. That's pattern recognition. The difference between the two is what you do next. The managed-out process has one vulnerability. It requires the organization to act slowly and carefully.